What's up, YouTube? My name is Ty, financial advisor. Welcome to my channel. Please like the video, please subscribe, and catch me every weekday after market close on the Smarter Gambling Show. So here is TBLT, Toughbuilt Industries. This finishes at $8.64 today. That is up 21.86%. So we discussed this stock a couple times in the past 2 weeks. This squeezed to $9.50. I did say that $9.50 was probably a good time to take profits and maybe even short this down. And then it did pull back all the way below $4. But then last week, this started squeezing again because of some very bullish news that Toughbuilt and Ace Hardware had a partnership. I think Ace was starting to sell 35 Toughbuilt products in over 5,500 stores. So the market really liked that. The positive momentum continued into Friday. And today, we're getting even more bullish news. So let's check that out. The company said it started selling 93 of its products on Amazon's Italian and German websites. So yeah, even more bullish news. Not only are they in Ace Hardware, they're now on Amazon as well in Europe. This actually did break $9.50 again today, but has since pulled back pretty significantly. But still major price action today, massive gain. So I'm very happy for the apes. This did make StockTwits top 10. I believe it had almost 3,000 mentions today. So once again, we're going to analyze it. So let's jump right in. Let's go ahead and analyze here. And this is going to be more or less the same from the past 2 times we analyzed this stock, just with the updated price action. So first of all, we have a cup and handle in the making. Bottom of the cup being the low of 134. And there can be multiple possible tops. It can be 1025, 1325, 2030, or even 4160. And longer term, this is part of an even bigger cup and handle where this has the potential to go all the way back up to 105. Although I do think the most realistic top would be 1025 or 1325. But those are all bullish indicators. That is telling us that the stock should come back up to one of those tops to complete the cup. And then we have a triple gap down. First gap down is back here at 99.70. So that is a bullish indicator. That is telling us that the stock should come back up to 99.70 to fill this gap. Second gap down is back here at 75.90. So another bullish indicator that is telling us that the stock should come back up to 75.90 to fill that gap. And the third gap down is back here at 24.60. So another bullish indicator that is telling us that the stock should come back up to 24.60 to fill this gap. And all of those gaps may take a while to fill, but eventually in the longer term they should. At the same time, we also have a triple gap up. First gap up is back here at 525. So that is a bearish indicator. That is telling us that the stock should come back down to 525 to fill that gap. Second gap up is back here at 325. So another bearish indicator that is telling us that the stock should come back down to 325 to fill this gap. And the third gap up is back here at 240. So another bearish indicator that is telling us that the stock should come back down to 240 to fill that gap. And all of these gaps should fill in the short term. In the aftermarket here, this is pulling back down to 850. So if this aftermarket action holds, that would be a bearish indicator for tomorrow. That is suggesting that tomorrow the stock will sell off. Here we have a huge bear flag developing. Here's the flagpole, and here's the flag. So that is a bearish indicator that is telling us that the stock may break out to the downside. And here we do have a symmetrical triangle. Right now this is consolidating between 840 and 480. So there's a bit more consolidation to go, but this should consolidate somewhere around 660. And from there, it should break out either way, to the upside or the downside. So the symmetrical triangle is currently a neutral indicator, although it does appear like it does want to break out to the upside. And if you guys want to follow along, the link to the chart is in the description down below. So right now, this is trading between the sideways channel, the rectangle of 895 and 845. So if this goes to the upside, next levels of resistance would be 895, 955, 1025, 1115, 1210, 1325, 1470, 1610, 2030, 2110, 2240, 2380, 2495, 2615, 2710, 2780, 2920, and then 3035. There is resistance above 3035, but we're not going to discuss that right now. And if this goes to the downside, next levels of support would be 845, 770, 735, 675, $6, 515, 475, 430, 380, 335, 285, 240, 210, 180, and then the low of 135. 135 is the all-time low, so no support below that. That would be uncharted territory. So right now at the current price, 864, the channels to the upside and the downside are very wide. so expect significant price action either way this goes. However, if/when this breaks 515 to the downside, the channel starts to narrow, so expect a significant decrease in price action if/when this breaks 515 to the downside. RSI is currently at 68, so not quite overbought and overvalued, but pretty high up there, so be careful, guys. According to the RSI, the current price of 864 should be a bit lower, and this did 43 million in volume today, which is way above the average of 2.4 million, so this pump/squeeze today was confirmed on the volume. So definitely still short squeezing here, although it does appear like the momentum is cooling off, so the squeeze may be winding down and coming to an end pretty soon here. Okay, guys, just my opinion, not financial advice. So this is pretty amazing, because the squeeze was supposed to be over, but then all it takes is some good PR, and the apes are right back in here, squeezing the stock again. So long term, the stock still looks really bullish. Again, we have some strong bullish indicators in the cup and handle and triple gap down. In the short term, this may keep running a little bit more to the upside, because this is still short squeezing. But again, it does appear like momentum is cooling off. So sooner or later, as with every short squeeze, this will have to come crashing down. Just a matter of when, not if. So in the long term, the stock looks bullish, but in the short term, it's starting to look pretty bearish. So therefore, if you want to go long, not financial advice, I would not do that, and I would not recommend that. You missed a lot of upside here in the past few days, and the momentum is starting to cool off. Going long here would probably be FOMO, and there's a good chance to get burned. So the current price of 864 really isn't a good entry. It's actually borderline terrible. I guess if you're willing to buy and hold this for the long term, it's not such a bad entry, because again, this should come back up to 99.70 in the longer term to fill the gap there. So from the current price of 864 up to 99.70, that would be over a 1,050% upside potential. So massive upside potential here in the longer term, even at this terrible entry. If you're a little patient here, this should pull back down to 240 to fill the gap there in the short term, and I think that'd be an excellent entry. So from 864 down to 240, that would be about a 75% downside potential. So massive downside here in the short term. So I would say going long at the current price, 864, would be a high risk, really high reward play. You should be able to make money in the longer term, but honestly, it's not really worth it in my opinion. There's a good chance this pulls back very significantly and you get burned. So from 240 up to 99.70, that would be over a 4,050% upside potential. So way more upside than if you were to enter at the current price, 864, and it really shouldn't go too much lower than that. There's some very critical support below 240. Going to take a lot of selling pressure to break that, and that's near the all-time low. Not too much downside potential. I would say going long at 240 would be a low risk, very high reward play. Definitely worth a shot, in my opinion. So yeah, you really can't go too wrong buying in at 240 where the gap is and holding for the long term. So I don't like the current entry of 864, but I can support going long at 240 where the gap is. And if it pulls back, then you can just average down at these supports that I mentioned before. Now, if you want to go short, not financial advice, I would not do that, and I would not recommend that. For all the reasons I said going long is a bad idea, going short is a good idea for the same reasons. A lot of strong bearish indicators in the short term, triple gap up, bear flag, aftermarket action, high RSI, the squeeze is losing momentum, should come to an end pretty soon, really shouldn't be too much more upside, and a lot of downside potential. So while there is still more upside potential, because this stock is still squeezing, I do think this will start to top out and reverse pretty soon. So I would say going short at the current price, 864, would be a borderline excellent entry. Not quite there, but almost there. I would say at most this comes back up to 1025, maybe 1325, but that seems pretty unlikely. And again, there's about a 75% downside potential here if/when this fills the gap at 240. So I would say going short here would be a medium risk, high reward play. Definitely worth a shot in my opinion. I say medium risk because the stock is still short squeezing, still a retail favorite, so anything can happen, although unlikely. And I say high reward play because, again, there's a 75% downside potential here. So as long as you're able to withstand some upside pressure, you should be able to make about 75% to the downside here relatively easily. So I can't support going short at the current price, 864 and higher. And again, I would cover at 240 where the gap is. So pretty straightforward, guys. Crazy price action on the stock the past couple of weeks. This is the second time it's squeezing. It squeezed once, pulled back very significantly, and then all it takes is some good PR to get it to go squeezing again. But based on the volume, it does appear like the momentum is cooling off and will probably pull back very significantly again. In the short term, there may be a bit more upside to go, but this should start to top out and reverse very soon. So long term, the stock still looks bullish, but short term, it's starting to look pretty bearish. So if you want to go long, not financial advice, I would not do that, and I would not recommend that. This is in the middle of a short squeeze, pretty much overbought and overvalued, due for some massive pullback. Going long would pretty much be FOMO at this point. The current price of 864 is a pretty bad entry on the long side. I guess if you're going to buy and hold for the long term, it's not terrible, but if you're a little patient here, this should pull back down to 240 where the gap is, and I think that'd be an excellent entry. 4,050% upside potential, really not too much downside potential, so you really can't go too wrong buying in at 240. So I can't support going long at 240, and if it pulls back, then you can just average down at these supports that I mentioned before. And if you want to go short, looks like a pretty good play to me. Not quite an excellent entry, but almost there. Again, the squeeze should be coming to an end pretty soon, losing momentum. A lot of bearish indicators in the short term. 75% downside potential. Really shouldn't go too much more to the upside. So as long as you're able to withstand some upside pressure here, you should be able to make about 75% to the downside here pretty easily. So I can't support going short at the current price, 864 and higher. And again, I will cover at 240 where the gap is. So congratulations to everyone who made money in the stock today. Consider taking profits if you're up, not financial advice. And good luck to everyone currently in the stock and to everyone looking to take a position. This is TBLT, Toughbuilt Industries. Thanks everyone for watching today. I appreciate you guys. Please like the video, please subscribe, and catch me every weekday after market close on the Smarter Gambling Show. You apes already know, diamond hands to the moon. I'm Ty. This is Smarter Gambling. See you guys tomorrow. Peace out.